This is late enough for everybody. Thank you guys for being here. We'll try to give you an idea of what developing a sole means and what is our how our company works. And Matthew specifically asked us to give you an idea of what activities we're doing in terms of product development and process development to make the footwear business more sustainable and more and better for the environment in general. So just very quickly, just do an introduction of who we are. If you want to start, Alan.
Yeah, Alan Koenig. I head up marketing for the U.S. base. We have basically all of our U.S. operations are in Boston or around Boston. We have a factory that's been in Massachusetts for over 100 years, where kind of the footwear started east and went west, and then we have a new Boston Experience Center in the heart of BU, and so we're kind of doing things like this as well. So I kind of help manage all that with events and things like this. So thanks for having us. Yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah. Duran.
I'm Duran Richard. I'm a senior designer in Portland, Oregon, in the Portland, Oregon office, and I work on all the new designs. Take the designs from the customers and we Vibramize them.
Yeah. Well, you probably heard enough from me today, but Vibram is a family company. I'm fourth generation of the company. I've been in shoes all my life, and I've been smelling and eating rubber since I was born. So I'm not that much older than you guys, but seen a lot of shoes. I'm a mountaineer, I'm a climber, I live through the brand, and I have a big passion for product in general. I study in the US, and now I'm between the US and Italy, because this company is it is a very international company. We are a medium, large size company, but we're extremely interconnected. Just to give you an example, here we are with the US team, and I'll let Sean introduce himself, but we had US team, but the company is, in terms of people, is spread out as 1/3 in the US, 1/3 in Italy, and 1/3 in China. Just to give you an example, ALYX, it's a project that started with Matthew reaching out to some of our people here in Vibram USA. Then he went out to Italy for design of the product. Prototypes were made in our development center in China. Production still happens there. The shoe is assembled in central Italy. It's sold all over the world, and now we are here in Toronto, Canada, talking about it. So, we live in a global world, and ours is a global company. So, very excited to be here, and leave it out to Sean. Finish the intro.
Sean, been the cobbler technician. I've been doing this 3 years now.
Yeah.
Just learning the trade, learning how to work with the shoes and rebuild them and resole, and I really enjoy it. Get to travel around on our Sole Factor vehicle. It's a modified RV that we drive all around the country. So,
a lot of road time for sure.
Yeah.
Been back and forth.
Yeah.
At least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the Patagonia Worn Wear Tour. It basically goes around and repairs clothes. We started, 5 years ago in Europe, and the US has been 3 years. The goal is to teach cobblers and to teach young people that even sneakers and complicated shoes can be repaired and can be customized. So that's the job of Sean and what we do with the Sole Factor in general. So just to give you an idea of how our company works, we work with over 1,000 brands, from the small Italian or French artisans to the large corporations like North Face or New Balance and the big groups. In the US specifically, our factory works for the entire US Army, Navy, policemen, firefighters, because as you might be aware, in the US, in order to sell to these entities, you need to be producing in the US. And we have what is the last remaining rubber sole factory in America, which is a big challenge in general. Yeah, it's like the cows.
Crusher went down on it.
Yeah, so we work in two different ways. One is in open soles. That means that we have soles that are anybody can buy, from 50 pairs to hundreds of thousands. This is probably the most famous open sole that we have. You've seen this design with the stars and everything. Then I'll explain you the compound, because a sole is made of two things. One is the material that goes inside, and the other one is the design of the sole. This sole specifically is called carro armato in Italian, which means tank, because like a tank, it was developed, as I said this morning, in the 30s. So like tanks, he had the traction in order to grip on the snow and on the mud and all of that. The design is not random, so I still have at home the shoe that my great-grandfather was inspired from. So the design here of these lugs comes from the design, the look of metal parts that were inserted by a hammer on leather, so they look like this. The star in the middle, my great-grandfather was an alpinist, so at the top of a mountain, you always had a cross. That was the first objects that were up on mountains, so the cross for him is kind of it was like reaching the summit, and it was identified to that. The octagon of the logo, he started using logo since the beginning, since the 30s. In the 50s, they became yellow. Is inspired from a square in Milan that has an octagonal shape. But let's give you an idea. So this is the most famous one. It's probably the most copied sole in the world. Is probably when you think about a rubber sole or a boot sole, this is what you have in mind. But then we went on to like chunky Hoka soles to like running products, and those are all open. On the other side, we have exclusive soles. Means that a brand comes to us and says, "Hey, I have these needs. This is what I want to develop." We partner with them. We come up with something exclusive. And we developed a mold set out of their ideas. So Duran here is our designer in Portland. As we said, in the U.S., we have both a presence in Boston and one in Portland, because the footwear industry moved towards Portland. I was going to give you a very quick idea of like what happens in the development process, since I guess a lot of you are either designers or maybe just fans of shoes if you're here. So we'll give you a very quick idea of like what comes into the developing of a new sole and a new design.
So the first thing that we do is we get a brief from a customer, and a brief is basically an outline or or kind of an outline of what they're looking for, what the expectations are for that, the category, and the style of the shoe. And so we use that as the framework for starting our designs. And those are the things that we think of. We think of where the sole will need its support, and what its use is going to be. What type of weather or season? So if it's a trail shoe, we think of the terrain that it's going to be on, and then we look at aspects like water and fluid dispersion, so that you're not slipping when you're stepping on slick surfaces as well as on rough surfaces. We think of all those things because that's our expertise. Vibram has had 80 years worth of expertise in working with soles, so we take our knowledge and apply it to their designs, if they have their designs. Sometimes they come to us and we create those designs based off of those parameters that they give us. And then from that, we send that, and we make sure that we collectively take a look at everything and make sure it meets the customer's needs as well as performs up to our standards. And then from that, we send it to the factory, and then the factory will create a blueprint. Well, actually, first what we do when we send it to the factory, we create what we call a tech pack. And a tech pack is a very, very detailed drawing that shows everything to scale, so that the factory, when they create their blueprint, there's minimal questions for them to come back to us, and they can create that and send that back to us with all the measurements and dimensions and sections. And then from that, we approve it, and it goes back to the factory. They create a 3D model, and then we can see an actual rough model of what it's going to look like, and then we make an approval from there. And from that, and then it goes back to the factory again, and then they make a sample from from an alloy mold. And then that's where we can take a look at an actual rubber part. And then when it goes to steel molds is where it goes to sample, or not to sample, but for production. And they're creating the full-size runs, and it gets ready for being applied to the uppers.
Yeah, every line, every product needs a full size European would be from 36 to 46, and the US is from like 7 up to like 13, 14. We even have a mold that was made for Yao Ming, the basketball player, that I think it starts here and it finishes something like there, because you need the mold inside or something like that. So size. Every half size is a different mold, and there's a lot of work that goes into that. Anybody ever been to a shoe factory? Anybody ever designed a shoe? Yeah? Who's a designer here? Let's hear. Ah, you're all right. All right. What do you usually design? Shoe or a sole? Where do you start from when you design something?
Like the first initial idea or your inspiration?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Or like,
Yeah. Anybody else? You want to jump in?
I don't really. I just draw them, and I usually start with the sole.
Yeah.
That's since I said usually what personally that's what I look at first
Yeah.
when I look at shoe.
Yeah.
The sole.
Yeah, I mean that's how it is, you know. As you're building like a house, a building, you start from the fundamentals part, from the foundation, and then you build it up. So a shoe changes so much from one and the other on the sole. Just look at like what we've done with ALYX, for example. We took a dress shoe, we built this like big chunky rubber sole. It looks like a sneaker if you look at it from far away. So what really identifies a shoe? It's very hard to realize it, but it's the sole that makes it one different from the other. So now we're trying to take you mentally through in a rubber factory, and all the material that we have here comes out from our factories. We have 3 factories, one in the US, one in Italy, and one in China. Then we work with outside suppliers as well. So we kind of take you through, you know, the recyclability aspect of rubber specifically. Let's put it up.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So. These are 2 soles that are produced in, and you can pass it around. These are 2 soles that are produced in Massachusetts. They are probably for U.S. Marines, Navy. They go on. They need. These are shoes, the soles that need an extreme level of durability. And as you notice, when we produce the sole, what happens is that there's an amount of rubber on the side that is scrap. You know, we cannot utilize it because you need that amount of scrap in order for the mold to fill up on the right way. Production has issues. You know, at classic 4% scrap rate is what usually goes into a manufacturing world. So you know the logo moves around. You make mistakes in the end, no? When you're producing stuff.
Do you guys understand how you get this right? You gotta basically 2 molds go together and they smush the rubber, and they cook it, you heat it, and then it comes out. It's pressed, and then there's this extra material that's on the side.
So this is called compression molding, where we press the rubber. You could be injecting otherwise, where you have a point of injection there, the mold remains closed, and you're injecting from one side. We work on compression molding mainly. So this is what we normally produce every day. This is what comes out of our factory every single day. We make 40 million pairs of these every year. So it's 80 million of what you have in your hands. So imagine the amount of stuff that doesn't get used, you know, and that's this is any rubber sole in the world. So when you take out what we call the flesh, this comes out. So you're basically trimming out the side of the sole, and this is material that cannot be melted again. Rubber has the characteristic of vulcanization. When it gets vulcanized, it means that you cannot then warm it up and melt it again like it happens for plastic. It is a great material. It comes from a natural source, as I was telling this morning, but it has this this difficulty of not being able to melt. And so, as we were saying this morning, in 1994, we were already very concerned of the amount of waste that we were creating. What we did, you know, and we have the limit that we cannot melt rubber. So we found. We tried. So what you do with that rubber? You try to bring it down to the most fluid the property that you can have. I think I have it here. Yeah. Yeah, I know this is Canada. Could be something else, but it's certainly just rubber. So you can then cut it into small pieces like this. I want to say something else.
This is just called the fleck, right?
Yeah.
So it basically goes into a machine, gets shredded. Same properties, but now you're able to apply it to a different source and use it as filler, basically.
Yeah. So when we launched EcoStep in 1994, we thought we did a lot of trials on what is the right percentage of scrap material and what is the right percentage of like new virgin material. we found that the right one, in order to have the right level of durability to be called the Vibram sole, was between the 30 and 40%. We saw that if you pass the 40%, the shoe becomes that is not very durable, but you're still going into a long process in order to turn it into a sole. We could make a 95% recycled sole. It would probably last a day, and you would throw away the shoe. So this is not where we want to go. So basically, we are combining that scrap material with 70% of virgin material, and what comes out is this compound that is called EcoStep. Then you're playing with colors, and depending on how you play with colors, you have different kind of outcomes. The thing is, they all look different, you know. And in the 90s, the idea that every product was different people didn't really like it, you know. Nowadays, yeah, cool. It's like, you know, I'm different than anybody else, and I know that this is unique. In the 90s, it was seen as a bad sign, so we were like fighting to try to push it, but it was very tough. So, anyways, now this is starting to become hot again, and this is something that one of the direction that we're going. We're trying to increase the percentage, maintaining the same level of durability and quality. So this is our R&D direction on one side. Then, as we discussed this morning again, and now I like the concept that we can show you practically something. When you build a shoe, usually what happens, you have the upper. That is usually a mix of sweat, leather, synthetic material, a lot of different things that can go into that. Then you have kind of a cushioning area, most of the sneakers that you have on just have a cushioning, and then the last bit is the outsole. Usually these three parts are glued together, you know. They are glued. First step, second step, and then the shoe comes out. So we have invented a new technology 3 years ago, which is called light base. And light base basically is a technology where we are able to combine rubber with textile in one mold. So in one shot, we were able to get textile and rubber together. This allowed to create very thin rubber, maintaining the same level of performance and quality. You see how thin the rubber is. So this was born as a technology for lightness. We diminished the weight of a sole by about 30%, 40%. Again, same as EcoStep. But what happened is, imagine like in some shoes, we've been able to take it down by like 50 grams, 60 grams. 50 grams on somebody that runs a trail running race of 100 kilometers is like you're taking them away 15 kilometers of their run. So every single run on a mountain in outdoor really matters. So this was done mainly for lightness reason. But because innovations is planned, but not always. You know, sometimes it just comes out of observing what you normally do. Here, as you can see, we have a large amount of waste that goes around the sole. Usually, it would be trimmed here, same as it happened for this one here. But here is extremely thin, you know. And this sole would normally be applied. Do you have the other one here? Yeah. So this sole would normally be applied flat, 2D. Then you add up like a midsole, an expanded EVA midsole. And that's it. It comes flat. But since this rubber has the capability of being very thin but very resistant, because it's together with a special textile, I thought, why don't we wrap it? Why don't we bring it out? What happens if we bring out the material? Who cares about the aesthetics? And what happens? So, want to show them how we do it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I prepared this one earlier. It's already glued, and we just kind of wrap up the toes, kind of get it ready, and then we use our press that's made for this specifically. It's a bladder press that actually kind of has like a deeper bladder on it. You can kind of roughly see it from there. So it's all a very flexible rubber that'll wrap around the sole. And with this press, we get a little louder. Let's turn on the machine. But it has like a vacuum unit in it that'll suck out the air. So it allows the shoe to sit really low in it so that the bladder can kind of come up more on the sides. So once this fixes itself, sorry. It's a little valve that doesn't always like to go down. There we go. So I usually do the toes first. It's always a little rough. And I've already pre-glued up the side because it's a polyurethane glue. So it needs to be glued on both sides. That way it's like a contact cement. It sticks to itself. And I'll put it in the press. Vacuum out the air. So this brings the rubber all the way to the walls, lets it sit lower. And these just kind of support it. It's got a last inside, so it's fully supported. And then just, so it's done. You just inflate the bladder and you let it sit.
Suppression is very homogeneous because it's a balloon that goes around it.
Yeah, it's going up the sides, pushing in the rubber on the sides. I usually give it 8 seconds, and then I it's pressed on there. Just pass that around. Get an idea of it.
And this is a prototyping kind of concept starts. You don't care about the aesthetics. Just leave it all on. We call it the trash shoe, because it looks very, very dirty. But this is just the first step.
Every single one of these equations?
No, you can only do it with this technology, and that's why we can only do it, because it's very thin, but it's very resistant, because you're able to put rubber and textile together. If you only with rubber, this would break, because it doesn't have enough strength to hold it. If you do it with enough rubber to be resistant, it would be too thick. So it would be impossible to fold it.
It'll have too much pull and the glue will come apart,
Yeah.
so it's not able to stable.
What fiber is implanted to make it have those properties?
It's a textile from a German company. Don't know exactly what it
Top
is,
secret,
and it is also top secret. Yeah. No, well, it's a synthetic textile. Yeah, and it's the tough thing with adding two materials on the same mold is basically that either you burn the material because you go up around 180 degrees Celsius. So you either burn the material, or the other issue is that they don't stay together. They don't do a co-molding, but they don't hold together. So that has been the challenge of 6 years of R&D to find the right way and the right production process. Matthew was actually just at VTC at our tech center in China, where we do this process. You've seen it on the molds there, and we are basically the only factory in the world that is able to do it, because it's long, because it's very complicated at the beginning. Has any innovation when you start it, there's so much resistance in terms of the supply chain to do it. So we had to bring it inside our factory and do it ourselves, because otherwise suppliers wouldn't let us do it. So the next step, and feel free, any question, any idea, or any input actually would be great. Love to share. But basically the next step that we did from this was our normal sole. We just took the waste and just kept it and wrapped it around. So we thought, right, and we're talking a year ago, pretty much. So the next level was to find out a way where it wraps without having all those wrinkles. That was the kind of the next level in terms of the evolution.
Yeah. This one I pretty much do the same.
Yeah.
I'll start the kind of the nose of it, as it kind of overlaps itself. And it makes it look a little nicer when it does go up. It's still a little rough, but it's a little more tabs than a rough material at this point. And again. Take the air out.
Yeah, so this machine was designed, like we patented and developed it together with San Crispino, which is a company in Italy. Like we didn't have anything in the market in order that was specifically for our needs, so we had to partner with them and come out with a machine to do this kind of production.
Which is also something cool. We didn't talk about it a lot in the panel, but like that gum sole that his great grandfather created. Timberland's whole business is that sole.
Yeah.
And they were able to use it because a patent runs out after 50 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Pass that
crazy
around.
to think about that they have this history of actually like developing design patents.
Yeah.
Which is it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And today when you were talking about the backhoe, Matthew, when you guys were talking about the backhoe earlier today, it was going through my mind, right? What is our backhoe? What is our identity sign, which is not the logo? And for us, it would be this. But everybody copied that, so it's not really identifiable anymore. Yeah, we try to push it, but this is something that is probably the most seen sole around the world.
Do you know why he chose those shapes in the
Yeah,
middle?
yeah.
It's kind of a
Good.
Why?
Good.
Yeah.
I was telling them before, but I'll tell you again. No. So this basically, you remember I showed you the iron nails on the leather sole. So if you remember, all the nails that were inside leather were put in with the hammer. Yeah. And they had that look because this is where the hammer was hitting on these points, and it was going all around here. The stars, he was a mountaineer, he was an alpinist, so the stars it's a cross, really.
Okay.
It's a cross that you get on top of that you get on the summit of the mountain, you have the cross. And the octagon is the central of, Galleria Vittorio Emanuele in Milan, where the two galleries cross.
Yeah.
It creates an octagon, and that was inspired by that for the octagon.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. Unfortunately, it is. It's not that identifiable anymore because the patent expired after 50 years. But we still feel very proud of it, and the thing that something that was designed that long ago is still utilized in the same design is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
This was the first sole ever designed in the world, guys.
Yeah. And it's the only sole made in each continent on Earth still.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really crazy.
Exactly. So before rubber was applied, but only flat, and so he said, all right, the nails are actually pretty good for traction, but they're bad for grip. Rubber is good for grip, but if applied flat, it's bad for traction. So traction and grip are two different concepts, so you need to merge them together, especially in the mountains where you have very extreme conditions. And, that's how it comes out. Yeah, so now you might, so we said, why is this could be potentially change the way we make shoes, and how this could make the way we make shoes more sustainable. Well, first of all, we said the fact that we are utilizing material that usually goes into scrap and bring it up, and instead of throwing it away, you're bringing impermeability. You're bringing waterproof of the shoe higher by just utilizing the sole and wrapping it out without having to spray, tape, or paint or do anything like that. So just utilizing the sole, first of all. But the second aspect is that basically when you're doing a shoe, you also need cushioning. You need something soft to step on. Especially in the sneakers world. With this technology, you're able to wrap around rubber any kind of material, as long as it is soft and it is light. It can be the lightest thing ever, and you don't care about abrasion. You don't care about the fact that it can wear off because it's being protected by the rubber all around. So you could take waste from the T-shirt that you're throwing it away. You could find a way to grind it. You can grind it and you can wrap it around, and that could be your midsole potentially. You can use waste from, today we talked agricultural, we talked about a lot of different industries. You could take waste from different industries and use it as a midsole and wrap it around. But we need minds like yours and a creativity like yours in order to do the next step, and we're very, very open with that. Just to give you an example, Sean, if you want to get out the midsole. Yeah, so we gave a challenge to Sean this week, and we're like, all right, Sean, let's see what we can show this guy, what we can wrap. So he had at home a board of cork, and he shaped this with his own, I don't know, what do you use?
It was the grinder, the sander.
Sander and a knife, and he created his own midsole, done handmade by himself. Or here he created something else with
it was like a hemp fiber I had from paper making, so I just tried that.
Yeah. So anything really can become a midsole. It needs to be light. It needs to be flexible, of course. So this is a shoe upper. It's before being assembled and being mounted on a sole. Wanna try? Let's see what happens. What we get out of this. It won't be perfect. It's a prototype, but we can give it a try. We've never done it with this, so it's a first trial. What do you want to do? You want to do that one, or do you want to do the cork?
Pretty cool.
You like that one? All right, let's try. I knew it. Yeah, pass it on.
It's gonna be the right one.
Yeah. Sean, you want to explain how you're preparing it?
So this, I'm gonna have to glue the sides. I'll actually leave the bottom loose and just glue the sides and see how that goes on it. Just kind of, basically wrapping it up like I did the others and bring it up. But it's a little rough, but it should stay on there. I have to trace that.
Yeah, we said we'd be mindful of the silk screening table on the bottom.
Yeah, not gonna wreck that.
Yeah.
This was decided 30 minutes ago to do it, huh? So, very cool. So, bear with us.
I'm just using a contact cement for this, but usually I use like a heavy bookbinding, shoe glue. This is like the low end of the same contact cement. For prototypes and just getting a concept, it's fine. But it wouldn't wear well, so. This is a lot rougher than I normally glue too, so. Usually have a glue bench.
Yeah, so imagine the amount of glue that goes inside every shoe. This is taking away this is only is doing half the steps that are usually required, because it's only one gluing process. But you cannot, we go to factories, shoe factories all around, and the amount of glue that we use every year is incredible. And if we find ways to diminish that, it's so important. So this is one of the things, this is one of the projects that we're doing. The other one that we're doing in terms of development of material is that we are chemically looking for ways in order to mold together outsole and midsole together in one shot. This would allow for limiting the lamination and the gluing and the transportation of the shoe all around, and everything is done in one shot, which with much less energy consumption. So this is where our development is going.
outside only considering one mold, or would you consider over molding?
Sorry?
Would you consider over molding the midsole? You could mold the sole.
Yeah.
And you could over mold the midsole on top of that.
Yeah, that's one of the process. Yeah, that's one of the process. But the concept is that they need to hold chemically. We want to eliminate the lamination process, because otherwise, when you normally do, you have to think that when you're gluing soles like this, there's either you're injecting, so you're injecting the midsole, which is between the sole and the upper. There's an injection that holds the two parts together. The other process, the normal laminating process, would be you would be buffing this out. It needs to be rough because this is too sleek to be glued. So you need to buff it. Then you need to prepare. Then you have to prepare the midsole, and then you can glue it. So it's an endless process.
Normally, I'd be priming stuff and using other chemicals with it as well. So.
I had a question about this sole.
Yeah, go for it.
Do you guys sell this as like a DIY to people that want to finish their soles?
Actually,
Or
need
is
to
it
borrow
just
that
like
one.
a quick way to make your shoes?
If you want, we send you some.
Yeah.
We'll send it here. No, well, it's you're hitting a very good point. We would love to do that. We would love to do that. Historically, soles has always been an ingredient of a full project, but even what we're doing with ALYX with the removable sole or even the overshoe by Nike, that's the direction that we would like to do strategically as a company. Yeah. So so Sean is of course putting the last in. That is, like whenever you're producing when you go in a shoe factory, there's millions and millions of these, which is another super consumption. Yeah, there's so much plastic here as well.
What happens when impromptu?
One
Yeah.
thing I saw at VTC with
Yeah.
the vacuum forming with the sole, is that an innovative process too, where it was like the thermoform?
Yeah, on the luxury rubber, for example.
Yeah. That's
So
a completely different process
Yes.
too, right?
Yeah,
What's
like
the benefits of that?
yeah, like the shoe that I'm wearing right now. Sorry, we're shoe people. You can take it out. This is all made by rubber. All the upper here is made out of waste rubber that comes out of our production in Italy, and this is thermoformable, so it's all the same material. Talking about leather, this is all rubber.
Sorry.
Go for it.
That's less steps in the process too, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Curious to see if it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Usually let
curious
the
on
glue
this side
sit a little bit
as
longer
well.
too. But for this, it's just seeing what's going to happen basically.
It's like the first cell phone call. Not sure if it's going to go through or not.
Apart from the top, which is too large.
Yeah. I had to inflate it to deflate it. I should have.
We need to improve our Canadian glue. I think.
Yeah. Well, even if it was the other glue, it would have to sit longer.
Yeah.
So usually I let it sit
Yeah.
like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. So just to give you an idea, again, prototyping, everything needs the process always needs to be improved, but this is the idea. You can develop a sole that is specifically following the shoe, that you can wrap anything around. This glue is not holding.
It needs like 15
What?
minutes. It needs like
It
10,
needs
15 minutes.
Yeah. Opening up.
Yep.
Yeah, but if you guys have ideas and if you find a better glue and you want to start doing putting together some shoes here or something like that, it would be really cool. That's the idea.
Do you want to give
Yeah.
everybody a shoe?
Yeah.
So we thought, what better way than have you guys be our testers as well? So we've got a few of these in Boston. And what we'd like to do is, if you guys would like, we'd like to send you a pair so you can check them out. You can do whatever you want. You can take them around, you can test them, you can take them apart and play with them. So the only thing that we would ask is I've got my card here if you guys want to take a picture of it, and sustainability matters. Don't have to hand a card to everybody, but take a picture, send me an email with your size, and we'll send you out one of these wrap and goes for you guys.
That's so sweet.
So I'll leave it there. You guys can take a photo of it. And if you're ever in Boston, please come visit us because we do have the entire factory there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have any questions?
Yeah, if you have any question or anything, guys, go ahead.
I think skateboarders really like something like this.
I agree, man.
They wear through the shoes so much, so I feel like it's super practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, man. Skateboarding is it's somewhere where you really destroy the shoes, and there's so much repairing. We totally talked with Matthew about it, and you're right. Yeah, we're talking with Vance. Let's leave it there. Anybody else, guys? Do you have any queries or question on footwear and stuff like that? Happy to. Can talk about it for days.
Does Vibram also do midsole?
Yeah. We do the midsole in Asia mostly, because developing outsole and midsole together is the best way to do it, because it's a fully integrated product. So yeah, we do produce midsoles as well, and there's a lot of development going on into midsole and materials in there. Yeah.
I feel like a chunkier shoe. Like I'm wearing these Doc Martens.
Yeah.
How does it make a shoe like that?
That's
Is it just like a bigger mold?
Yeah, exactly. It's a bigger mold that goes down more. There's more material that goes inside. It's not too different from these.
Yeah. But the duck sole looks like it's layered. Looks like they pour it in, let it dry, pour it in, let it dry.
Yeah,
Look at all the lines.
Yeah, that gets burned also.
Yeah.
It's it's a completely different world that way. Yeah.
And I was thinking like that powder would probably be a lot easier to ship than the soles themselves, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So if Vibram figured out a way to have facilities in third world countries where you could ship the powder over there, and have like DIY facilities where people could just build shoes and when they're in need.
Yeah.
Some kind of simple sandal, whatever.
Yeah, and the concept is trying to simplify the process overall. In anything we do, we need to simplify processes.
Because we just ship like barrels and barrels and barrels of this powder.
Yeah. The problem always is that it's all about balance. If you are overdoing with the recycled, then it becomes then it just falls apart after a second. And you need to think that when you're walking around on a crappy shoe with a crappy sole, not only you are destroying the sole or the shoe very quickly, but all that goes away from the sole, you leave it around in the world.
Yeah.
If you are going hiking and your sole starts falling apart, you're leaving rubber or plastic. If you go with EVA, if you go with Nike Free and stuff like that, you would be leaving around plastic on the mountain in the outdoor. So the impact that you have can be very strong as well.
What's the level of durability between the recycled ones and your regular? In terms
good.
of longevity.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into a level of mountaineering, Scarpa La Sportiva, very high-end black diamond, they're going to go with some of our premium compounds, but a lot of it comes down to design and compound. But the compound on this it'll last. It's like Matteo said, it holds the Vibram characteristic of our quality and our standard. But we make compounds and other products that really hold up over.
Let's say that it's better. It's more
terrain.
durability than any of the soles that you have on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We do a test called din abrasion, and so it goes anywhere from the lower the din abrasion, we get down to something that will last for a long time, something we call X-abrade that has like 60, and that means it just won't wear out.
And that's for skateboarding, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
We're doing it because there's a lot of abrasion going on. You don't need a lot of traction. You just need grip and durability and resistance. Yeah.
Tennis shoes.
Soft fit, man.
Yeah.
Question. So you accomplish the mold of your sole, you're mixing two materials that solidifies and then it can't be melted.
Yeah.
But if you shut it down, is there not like a solution you can add to it that brings it back to the liquid form? Because I know that in school we play with thermosets, and I think there's a way that we can bring it without heat, bring it back to liquid form, and then potentially, if there was, you could use 100% recycled plastic.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there with rubber at all. It's still very, very, very far away. You still always need to mix it with something, something genuine, something new.
Even if you could bring it completely back to the liquid form.
If you can, I give you a soul, man. If you can make it, that would be pretty groundbreaking for the industry.
Because what they say is that the rubber has like excellent memory. So even though you change its properties or its physical, it still remembers what it was and what it is. And going back to what it was is the difficult part.
Go for it.
Do you see like any environmental advantages of modularity, like having a soul that you could?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%, especially for recycling in the future. You know, as I said today, 25 million shoes produced every year. 25 billion shoes produced. 25 billion pairs of shoes produced every year. It's a huge number, you know. And most of those shoes, I would say 90% of those shoes are almost non-repairable or non-recyclable, because it's impossible to divide, you know, as we do it when we do trash collection. You know, you're dividing the different, especially in Europe, that we're crazy about it. You know, divide paper, plastic, and all that. You have to divide. Same thing with the shoes. There's so many different materials. So if you're able to do something that is modular, first of all, it's easier for recycling if you have to, you know, divide the various elements, and for repairing it as well. So you can go and work on a specific issue with the shoe and repair it more easily. So yeah, that's definitely a good direction. I mean, not only for shoes. I think anything that we do, you know, any product, any consumer good product. As long as companies are behind and they understand and they kind of change the mentality that it's not anymore about, you know, it's not about just selling products, but it's about, you know, providing services and everything that comes after the sales and all the service that comes after the sales. That is key, and I think that will be one of the differences that our generation can bring to consumer goods in general. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
Do you see the potential in the future of resoling shoes where the consumer would have a shoe, they'd use it until it wears out,
yep.
They'd have a 3D printing technology in the home that prints the sole back onto the shoe,
yeah.
And that would save waste because you wouldn't have to discard the old sole,
yeah.
And you would only print, and you could use the robust material, and it would rebond to the thermoset plastic.
Yeah, I mean,
far in the future, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, 3D printing in general. You know, the tough thing of 3D printing is, I mean, we're talking with them today about 3D printing, and I think we're very far away in terms of footwear. Other industries are much more advanced. Shoes and outsole, we're still very far in terms of 3D printing. Materials they're not there yet. There's mostly plastic materials that are either very slippery or have very bad durability. So right now we're very far away. We're developing ways for that need specifically. We're developing ways of rubber to be how you can call it, more liquid, in a way, and that's something that we're doing in terms of R&D for that need, that specifically. But again, you're both hitting a right point. If we are able to have the consumer work on their own product and work on their own sole, and, you know, or work on their own shoe instead of throwing it away, or instead of having to go to the cobbler because cobblers are expensive, that could be a strategy for that to get better. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, given they'd have to have the machine to bind the sole to the
Yeah.
shoe.
I mean, we would have to do a completely different kind of product and a completely different kind of process, and we're working on that actually. Because that's a dream, you know, being able to give soles to people directly, soles and soles. Okay. What's that? We have a black one. You know the brand? You know the brand Black? It's a sneaker brand. It's a small sneaker brand from California. They actually liked so much the dirty look with the wrinkles and all that they did a model all black with black sole, and which is really cool. Yeah. We'll send you the link on that.
Yeah. It's called it's the Fourth Sex. Just the brand Black Fourth Sex is what it's called.
They did,
Yep.
and then you know the brand United Standard. It's a brand from Milan as well. They did a very cool shoe with the same concept in black and all that. So, you know, that's how you started. You know, we don't do shoes. We sell people we show people what they could do, or brands. We show brand what they could potentially do, and it's up to them to take it, interpret it, and make it their own. We don't wanna take away the creative process of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you don't have anything, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been great conversation, and send your messages and to Alan, and
We'll get you